Welcome, everyone, to this crucial session. Today, we're embarking on an in-depth exploration into the very heart of performance. We're talking about how to direct undeniable truth, even in the most stylized and heightened worlds of film. It's a common assumption, isn't it, that genres like comedy, fantasy, science fiction, maybe they're just realms of pure spectacle or cleverness. Perhaps even a break from the really rigorous demands of drama.
Right, kind of vacation from truth.
Exactly. But we are here today to fundamentally challenge that notion. We want to unveil how these genres, far from being an escape, actually demand the most rigorous, the most grounded truth from your actors.
That's absolutely right. This session is really dedicated to empowering you, the director, with the profound understanding and, crucially, the practical tools you need to unlock truly unforgettable performances across all genres. We'll explore how these stylized worlds, from the completely absurd to the utterly terrifying, are not, in fact, an escape from truth. They're actually a powerful, demanding frame for it.
How so?
Well, they require an even deeper, more disciplined commitment to emotional reality from the actor. My aim here is to transmit the mastery of this technique directly into your creative hands, to show you how to guide your actors to deliver performances that resonate deeply, no matter how outlandish the setting might appear.
Okay, so let's unpack this core idea first, this misconception that often surrounds genre work. Many directors, maybe even some of you listening right now, might mistakenly believe that comedy, fantasy, horror, sci-fi, that they're somehow lightweight, purely escapist.
Yeah, less serious somehow.
Right. There's this tendency to dismiss them as less demanding, perhaps less profound than traditional dramatic roles. But this, I have to tell you, is a grave miscalculation. It's one that often prevents performances from truly landing with an audience. It really misses the fundamental point of what makes any performance powerful and impactful.
Precisely. It doesn't matter if you have fantastical creatures or bizarre comedic scenarios or complex alien landscapes. Powerful performance is always, unequivocally about truth. It's absolutely vital that you understand this. The emotional life of a character is never less real in these heightened worlds.
Yeah.
Never. In fact, I'd argue the more stylized, the more absurd the world you're creating, the more rigorously the performance from your actor must be grounded in an unwavering, undeniable truth. Think about it for a moment. Truth is the very heartbeat of every single unforgettable moment you've ever seen on screen.
That makes sense.
This holds true for the deepest classic tragedy, and it holds equally true for the most modern, high-concept genre pieces, the genre itself. It's merely the vehicle, the outward presentation.
The surface.
Exactly. The engine, the soul, must always be raw human truth. This is why when an actor truly embodies their character's need, even in the most outlandish circumstances, we lean in. We believe them.
And without that truth.
Without that genuine human struggle, the entire edifice just collapses into mere artifice. It becomes a costume drama without a beating heart. All surface, no depth.
Okay, so here's where it gets really fascinating, and often, I think, counterintuitive for directors. The Chubbuck technique, the one you use for those intense dramas, it doesn't just dissipate or evaporate when the genre becomes fantastical or stylized.
Quite the opposite. It intensifies.
Intensifies, that's the key word.
It's a critical distinction because, you see, in a heightened performance, there's no familiar reality for the actor to hide behind. There's no conventional kitchen sink drama to do the heavy lifting.
Right. No mundane backdrop to ground them automatically.
Exactly. Those mundane realities that might naturally ground a dramatic performance simply aren't present. So this means that every single moment of truth, every flicker of emotion, every urgent action, it must be constructed meticulously from scratch.
By the actor, guided by the director?
Yes. The actor cannot rely on the audience's pre-existing understanding of, say, a family dinner or a doctor's office. They have to create that reality for us from the inside out.
So this construction, what does it demand specifically from the actor?
Well, it demands a rock-solid objective, that urgent, specific life or death goal the character must achieve. It demands profound personalization. And it demands the relentless use of an actor's own pain to fuel the stakes.
Using their own pain. Consider the most outlandish or surreal world you can possibly imagine. The more outlandish it is, the more ferociously the actor must believe in what their character needs, what they are fighting for, and what stands in their way. As directors, this is your core mandate when dealing with genre. The genre does not grant permission to fake. It commands you to double down on what is real, to dig deeper into the actor's personal truth.
Because the world around them is unreal.
So the performance must be the most real thing on screen. Absolutely. You're asking your actors to build an entire universe of internal reality that makes the external unreality utterly believable. It's a huge task.
So my role then as the director is to compel my actors to commit so completely to this internal reality
Yes.
that the audience forgets the green screens, the elaborate prosthetics, the visual effects. We cease to see the artifice. We only see the human being at war with their inner demons.
Even if those demons happen to be, terrifying aliens
Or animated donuts. It doesn't matter. The style, the genre, then becomes a powerful frame for deeper truth, never a distraction. It elevates the human struggle. It allows it to be seen with a clarity and an impact that straight realism sometimes can't achieve.
Okay, so the distilled insight here.
The central insight is unwavering. Truth is the heartbeat of every unforgettable performance, amplified, never diminished by stylized worlds. This fundamental principle underpins everything we're going to discuss today.
Amplified, not diminished. Got it. Let's turn our attention now to comedy. A genre, as you said, too often mistaken for just pure silliness or light entertainment. The profound truth is comedy, at its core, is warfare.
It absolutely is. It's far beyond just chasing laughs. In comedy, the character is fundamentally still fighting to win something.
Always fighting to win.
Always. This fight might manifest in seemingly ridiculous scenarios like trying desperately to get laid at a funeral or a frantic attempt to prove your intellect to a talking cat. But the underlying hunger, that core need, that profound objective must be undeniably real for the audience to connect. The actor isn't chasing a laugh, they're chasing victory. Victory against profound stakes like humiliation, invisibility, or a deep, soul-crushing loneliness.
So they're fighting for acceptance, love, dignity.
Yes, no matter how absurd the battleground appears on the surface.
And what's truly fascinating here is that the comedy itself emerges not from the actor's attempt to be funny.
Never. That kills it.
But from how far the character is willing to go to win and how ludicrous their circumstances make that journey.
Precisely. Think about it.
Yeah.
You can find yourself crying with laughter over a seemingly crude fart joke if, within the story's context, it represents the absolute last shred of dignity a character has left.
Right, their last desperate move.
Their final desperate gambit to achieve their objective. The stakes are high precisely because the underlying need is high. For instance, a character doesn't just want to be liked. They need to be liked because to them, their very survival depends on it.
Survival could mean their job, their social standing.
Or even just their sense of self-worth. The emotional logic must be absolutely grounded, even if the external context is utterly absurd. The greater the character's commitment to their objective, the greater the comedic potential.
And the audience laughs because
The audience's recognition of their own desperate struggles, mirrored in this outrageous behavior that sparks the deepest laughter. It's recognition, not just amusement.
So my guidance as a director here is absolutely crucial.
Paramount.
I need to direct actors to avoid winking at the audience, avoid showing how clever they are, or commenting on the absurdity.
Absolutely. That immediate detachment just kills the illusion. It breaks the audience's belief, and it dissipates the potential for true cathartic comedy.
Comedy demands the same raw vulnerability, the same rage, shame, longing as drama.
Yes. Exactly the same. They simply wield these powerful emotional weapons while perhaps wearing a clown suit or ridiculous wig, or while navigating a truly bizarre social situation. You must guide your actors to believe in their characters' desperation, to use their own personal pain and the power of substitution to fuel the absurdity. Push them to pursue their objectives so relentlessly, so seriously, that the audience cannot help but laugh from recognition, seeing their own ridiculous struggles mirrored back at them in this heightened external form. So the core insight for comedy is clear. Comedy is not mere silliness. It is war in disguise. fueled by desperate, grounded need, where personal pain fuels the absurdity of the situation. The deeper the truth, the harder the laughter.
War in disguise. I like that. Okay, now let's explore fantasy. This genre, with its dragons, magic, other dimensions, it seems on the surface like the ultimate escape from truth.
It might seem that way, but I assure you, fantasy demands more imagination and more truth from your actors, not less. Actors cannot just coast on the spectacle. They can't hide behind the special effects. In fact, the more unreal the world, the more brutally real their internal landscape must be.
So as directors, I need to insist on diligence, specificity, obsession with making it personal.
Unwavering obsession. Without that anchor of personal truth, the grandest spectacle can feel completely hollow, empty.
And in a world like that, the Chubbuck tools become even more critical.
They become lifelines, critical lifelines. Inner objects, those deeply personal images or symbols that ignite an actor's emotional truth. The moment before, that precise emotional state, the character carries into a scene and deep personalization. The actor's ability to internalize the character's needs and obstacles through their own lived experience. These are not academic exercises in fantasy. They are vital anchors. They tether the actor to the emotional reality beneath the dragons, laser guns, or fantastical scenarios.
And I need to make sure the actor understands.
You must impress upon your actor that their character does not know they are in a fantasy. To them, this is reality. This is their home, their crisis, their shot at redemption, their desperate struggle for survival. This is their life, and it must feel as visceral, as immediate as any everyday reality.
Can you give a practical example of directing this?
Certainly. Imagine a knight on a perilous quest to defeat a mythical beast. Your directive to the actor must be to intimately know what that beast represents in their own life.
Their own life.
Yes. Perhaps for the actor, it's the elusive approval of a distant father they never got, or a deep, unaddressed shame for their past, or maybe unconfronted grief for a lost loved one. That dragon isn't just a visual effect on a green screen. It is for the character their deepest fear, their most formidable obstacle, a manifestation of their personal psychological demon.
So every sword swing,
every desperate lunge, every moment of fear or courage must be imbued with every ounce of truth the actor possesses. It has to feel like a life or death battle for their soul, not just for some fictional kingdom.
Which brings us to a potential trap. Pretense.
A crucial trap. Directors must always be vigilant to avoid it. You must insist that actors treat the imaginary world as if it is life or death, because for the character, it absolutely is.
Every spell, every portal.
Every spell cast, every portal opened, every enchanted sword drawn must be driven by the same primal impulses that shape real human behavior. Survival, love, revenge, loyalty. You must warn your actors against half-committing, against winking at the audience, against mocking the material or leaning into irony.
Why is that so damaging here?
Because those actions are poison to genre work. They kill the story's power instantly. They break the spell, expose the wires, and cause the audience to disengage. They stop believing because the actor stopped believing. Your job is to make them believe so fiercely, so completely, that the audience has no choice but to follow them into that world.
And when an actor believes like that?
When an actor believes with every cell in their body, anchoring their performance in personal truth, when their pain is as raw and immediate in a castle in the clouds as it would be in a hospital waiting room, they transcend the genre. They imbue it with soul.
So the audience isn't just watching anymore.
Exactly. They are living it with the character, feeling their need, their loss, their desire to triumph as if it were their own. This is how fantasy transforms into myth, how comedy transforms into catharsis, and how make-believe transforms into something profoundly unforgettable.
So my job isn't selling an illusion.
No. It is to empower your actor to live that illusion so truthfully that it becomes real for everyone watching. Demand they commit so fiercely that the dragons and starships feel like ordinary furniture in a very real, very personal war for their character's soul.
Okay, so the core insight for fantasy.
Fantasy is not an escape. It is a powerful vehicle for emotional resurrection. The unreal is a magnificent, potent frame for deeply personal life-or-death warfare.
Moving now to horror and science fiction, genres where fear is often central.
And directors must understand this deeply. Fear on screen is not primarily about the creature's makeup or the dazzling special effects.
It's not.
No. Visceral fear in these genres is about what the character stands to lose. You must direct actors to use substitution, that essential technique of overlaying a character's circumstances with a personal, real-life parallel to intensely personalize that fear.
So instead of just acting scared of a monster.
Right. Guide your actor to realize they are fighting for the safety of their child. Now, this child could be their actual child, or their real-life younger sibling, or perhaps the most vulnerable part of themselves that never felt protected, or even a dream they are desperate to keep alive. The monster then becomes a terrifying manifestation of that deeply personal threat.
The terror the audience feels is a byproduct.
It must be a byproduct of what your character loves being threatened. You must instruct actors to bring in their own personal loss, their deep shame, or nagging guilt to drive their absolute will to survive. The monster then becomes a powerful external manifestation of their inner emotional demon.
So the core fear is always about loss.
Always about losing what matters most. Sanity, identity, safety, a loved one. The character isn't just screaming on cue. They are fighting with every fiber of their being to keep themselves whole, to hold on to themselves, to prevent the annihilation of their self or their soul. This is the profound psychological stake that makes horror truly horrifying and sci-fi truly unsettling.
And in science fiction specifically, beyond just horror elements.
Well, sci-fi often confronts profound existential questions. Characters wrestle with what it means to be human in the face of dehumanizing forces.
Like technology or oppressive systems.
Or the vast, terrifying unknown of the cosmos, yes. The objective in these narratives is frequently to preserve identity, autonomy, or the very soul in a world that threatens to erase it. It's a fight for the essence of self against something immense and often impersonal.
So my focus as director.
Your focus must be to guide actors to connect that external fantastical threat, the alien, the AI, the system, to their deepest, most personal fears. This ensures the performance is rooted in a profound psychological stake. It ensures every action, every desperate decision is fueled by an urgent internal truth.
And the distilled insight here.
Monsters and machines are not merely external threats. They're profound metaphors for personal annihilation, for the crushing of the individual spirit. Therefore, true fear in these genres and in life is always rooted in the visceral loss of self or what is profoundly loved.
Loss of self or what is loved. Got it. So regardless of the genre, comedy, fantasy, horror, sci-fi, the character's objective.
Right, it's non-negotiable. Absolutely. They still need something vital, something urgent, and they must win it. The only thing that truly shifts is the external packaging of the world, never the core stakes.
So their hunger for love, validation, justice, redemption.
Remains intensely personal and specific. It is the unwavering anchor of your performance, the fixed point in a swirling universe of make-believe.
Can we apply this practically? Say, a vampire character.
Let's take that vampire. Their profound need to suck blood. It's not because it's cool or merely scary or just some monstrous impulse. No.
There has to be more.
It must be as primal, as urgent, as saving their dying lover. Because perhaps that lover represents the one person who ever made them feel worthy of being seen, the last shred of their humanity they're clinging to. It is never just about blood. It is about survival, identity, and an intimate, desperate need.
That elevates it beyond a trope.
Exactly. It transforms a fantastical creature into a tragic, relatable figure. The hunger for blood becomes a desperate fight against eternal loneliness or desperate clinging to a fleeting memory of warmth. That's the truth.
Okay, or let's take broad comedy again.
Right.
How do I direct actors using substitution there? Not playing the joke, but...
Take the clown who trips over his ego. Maybe he's desperately trying to earn applause because he never felt seen as a child. His absurd pratfalls are a desperate attempt to be noticed, to be loved, to matter.
Or the office buffoon.
She isn't just weird for weirdness' sake. Perhaps she's battling a lifetime of being underestimated and ignored, and her ridiculousness is a primal survival strategy, a defiant roar against insignificance. The delivery might be exaggerated, absurd even, but the core emotional truth beneath it all must remain deadly serious, almost tragic.
That hidden pain makes the outward absurdity really land.
It's what gives it weight. When you as directors guide actors to play to the truth hidden beneath the genre's surface, you elevate the entire piece. This grants the audience explicit permission to genuinely care, to laugh deeply, to grieve profoundly, to gasp with genuine terror. because they witness a version of themselves reflected, even in the most fantastical circumstances. Stylized worlds simply do not work unless the characters inhabiting them believe every single beat of their struggle. The more extreme the setting, the more urgently the actor must pursue their objective, as if their very life depends on it. Because for their character, it absolutely does.
And that commitment is infectious.
This profound belief from the actor is contagious. It anchors the audience in the story, no matter how surreal the surface appears. If there's even a hint of half-commitment from the actor, if they signal lack of belief,
the whole thing collapses.
The entire genre collapses into parody. The spell is broken instantly. But when actors commit fully emotionally, physically, psychologically, they allow the style to become a powerful frame for deeper truth, rather than a mere distraction or a flimsy excuse for spectacle.
So genre magnifies the stakes, it doesn't replace them.
Precisely. It magnifies them. You must demand the same ruthless honesty, the same raw substitution, the same unrelenting tactics they would employ in the grittiest drama. But delivered in a world where rules are bent, where reality is flexible, and where imagination reigns supreme.
The core insight, then.
The essential insight here is absolute. The objective is the unwavering anchor of performance. The stylized world is merely the powerful vessel for its urgent personal pursuit.
Okay, so while different genres challenge the actor in unique ways, the core process, the 12 steps, remains the same.
The core of the work, the fundamental process, never changes. The actor is still employing the 12-step Chubbuck technique, meticulously applying each step to build their performance. They are still fighting fiercely to win.
But what shifts is how I tailor those steps.
Exactly. This is crucial for you as directors, how you meticulously tailor those steps to the specific world the actor inhabits. In genre material, the imagination of both director and actor must be ferocious, and the stakes must be deeply, viscerally personal. Let's delve into these genre-specific strategies.
Okay, let's start with sci-fi and horror again.
Rigorously use substitution to personalize the fear. Instruct actors. Do not simply act scared of a monster. An audience sees through that immediately.
Right.
Instead, they must fight for the safety of their child. Remember, this could be their real-life younger sibling, or the most vulnerable, unprotected part of themselves, or a cherished dream. The focus is never about the monster itself. It is profoundly about the stakes, what the character stands to lose.
Terror as a byproduct of love threatened.
Yes. The terror must be a byproduct of what they love being threatened, of what they are desperate to protect. Direct actors to infuse the performance with their own personal loss, their shame, or their guilt, which then drives their absolute will to survive. The monster then becomes a powerful manifestation of their emotional demon, an externalization of their deepest fears.
And the core conflict.
Survival versus annihilation. It's a primal, visceral battle for existence. That's the engine.
Okay. And for fantasy?
Make the imaginary world profoundly, deeply personal. If the character is questing for a magic amulet, guide the actor to ensure that amulet represents something they lost in real life that they still ache desperately to reclaim.
Like self-worth or grief?
For instance, yes.
Yeah.
Their own self-worth, a sense of belonging, or unresolved grief for a parent. Treat that quest not as some whimsical fairy tale adventure, but as a visceral journey to reclaim something stolen from their soul. A desperate attempt to heal an ancient wound.
So every magical element serves a psychological function.
Every enchanted sword, every mythical trial, every magical spell must serve a psychological function. Directors must ground the wonder, the grandiosity, in emotional warfare. Allow the magic to be an extension of the character's deepest longing, not just a convenient plot device.
What are the internal obstacles here?
The characters confronting hope versus despair, self-doubt, guilt, the weight of their own past as internal obstacles, which are then manifested externally by the world.
And the core conflict in fantasy is often
hope versus despair. That's a very common and powerful core conflict.
Right. Now, comedy strategy revisited. Play the stakes.
Always play the stakes, never the joke. The true comedy resides in the stark contrast between impossibly high personal stakes and truly ridiculous, often humiliating obstacles.
So if they're trying to impress someone,
direct the actor not to play charming, not to aim for a laugh, but to play desperate, to play the absolute need for approval. If they're trying to win an argument while wearing a clown suit, make them commit to that argument as if their entire life, their reputation, their deepest truth depended on winning it before the Supreme Court.
The more serious they are, the funnier it is.
Exactly. And ultimately more poignant. Guide actors to find the tragedy hidden beneath the laughter, the wound behind the weirdness. That's where the true power lies. If the audience laughs, it should be because they recognize the absurdity of their own pain mirrored in the character's outrageous tactics to overcome it.
And the core conflict in comedy is typically
belonging versus rejection. It's a very common, very human fight we all understand.
And sci-fi specifically, beyond horror, the core conflict.
As we touched on, it frequently confronts what it means to be human in the face of dehumanizing forces, technology, oppressive systems, the vast unknown. The driving objective is often to preserve identity, autonomy, or the soul. So the core conflict is often humanity versus control.
Humanity versus control. Okay, so understanding this core emotional war for each genre.
It allowed you, the director, to target your actor's objective like a laser. The actor stops floating aimlessly through the narrative. They fight fiercely within the world, seizing its chaos, its unique rules, and bending them toward their character's will.
Which makes the performance
surgically aimed, strategically precise, emotionally explosive. It cuts directly through any genre trappings to connect with something raw, something universally recognizable in the audience.
So the insight here.
Each genre possesses a unique emotional DNA. Aligning the character's objective with this core conflict transforms potentially formulaic portrayals into surgically precise, emotionally explosive performances that truly resonate.
Right. Theory is essential, but examples really drive it home.
They do. To truly grasp how this technique breathes undeniable life into stylized genres, we have to look at actors who have mastered this. Those who brought personal pain, unshakable objectives, profound inner conflict to performances that, in lesser hands, well, they could have easily become caricature.
These aren't just good performances.
No, they are master classes in leveraging truth to fuel genre. By diving deep into the raw, unfiltered emotional life of their characters, these actors elevate their work far beyond simple entertainment. They reveal universal struggles beneath fantastical or comedic surfaces.
They don't just perform, they strategize.
Exactly. They employ every tactic in the Chubbuck arsenal to fight for what their character needs, regardless of how absurd, how heightened, or how terrifying the world might be. They commit to their character's objective with every fiber of their being.
And these performances become touchstones because they defy genre expectations.
Through unwavering truth, they infuse depth into spectacle, soul into satire, humanity into horror. Every choice is deliberate, every emotion fueled by real-life substitution, every line a precise tactic toward achieving their character's goal. These artists show us that even in the most surreal settings, it's the personal psychological war inside the character that truly captivates us.
Let's take Robin Williams and Mrs. Doubtfire.
A textbook example. Comedy born directly from absolute desperation. Williams isn't playing for gags. He's not just trying to be funny. He's embodying a father who will do anything.
Humiliate himself, change identity.
Risk exposure, live a complete lie just to be close to his children. Think about that famous scene racing between the two dinner parties, the frantic changes. Every single moment is underpinned by the profound objective to be a father and the deep emotional truth of his fear of losing his children.
Which is why it's both hilarious and heartbreaking.
Exactly. The comedy arises from the extreme, desperate measures taken to achieve a deeply human, deeply painful need.
Okay, another example. Sigourney Weaver in Aliens.
Ah, yes. Far more than just sci-fi in action. It's the story of a trauma survivor returning to confront her greatest fear. And in doing so, transforming that fear into fierce, protective maternal instinct.
Her objective is to protect Newt, the girl.
Yes, but it's profoundly rooted in her own past trauma. Her substitution work must encompass the profound grief and guilt of losing her own child during the time between the first film and this one. She isn't merely running from monsters or shooting a big gun.
She's fighting for redemption.
She's fighting for her emotional redemption, for a second chance at protecting innocence. Every decision, every brutal confrontation with the alien queen is driven by that primal personal fight. That's what makes Ripley such an enduring icon of both strength and vulnerability.
And Heath Ledger as the Joker in The Dark Knight.
A performance that could so easily have been a flat, one-dimensional comic book villain. A caricature. Instead, Ledger constructed a deeply personalized philosophical objective to systematically destroy societal order, to reveal its inherent chaos. But not just for kicks, as a twisted means to validate his own internal chaos.
So the laughter wasn't just maniacal.
His chilling laughter isn't for the audience, it's a defense mechanism. It's a calculated tactic to disarm and unnerve. It's a deliberate mask for an unimaginable internal pain. The pain is buried deep under countless layers of disturbing behavior and nihilistic philosophy, but it remains the undeniable driving force behind every single action. That commitment to a deeply rooted psychological objective, however twisted, is what makes the performance utterly mesmerizing and terrifying.
So these performances prove genre isn't a limitation to truth.
It's an amplifier. Genre strips away the safety net of ordinary realism and dares the actor to plunge even deeper into what makes us fundamentally human.
And when actors bring that full humanity...
When you guide your actors to bring their full humanity, their raw truth, to comedy, sci-fi, or fantasy, you tap into a collective yearning in the audience. A yearning for transformation, for catharsis, for emotional liberation. It's not about escaping reality, it's about reframing it.
Reframing it how?
In a way that allows the audience to process their own fears, their hopes, their traumas, maybe with a profound sense of wonder or even absurdity. These genres grant permission to tell the truth through disguise. They allow actors to wear armor, capes, or clown noses. But that's merely the surface. Underneath, they are still the child who was abandoned, the lover who was betrayed, the warrior who must reclaim their worth. You are giving the audience something truly unforgettable, themselves, reflected in the impossible, so they can recognize their own truth in the most unexpected of mirrors.
So the distilled insight from these icons...
Genre allows truth to be told through disguise, reflecting universal human struggles in the most unexpected of mirrors, making the unbelievable unforgettable.
Okay, directors, let's talk about a trap. An insidious trap, you called it. Irony.
Yes. You must be acutely aware of it. Sarcasm, detachment, meta-commentary. They might feel clever in the moment. They might even get a superficial smirk from the audience. But they almost always serve as emotional armor, unconscious tools actors employ to avoid true vulnerability, to avoid committing fully to the character's stakes.
And in stylized work, where the world is already heightened?
Layering irony on top of that just flattens the stakes completely. It creates a performance that comments on itself rather than truly living within itself. The audience stops feeling more have because the actor stops needing.
If the actor isn't immersed.
If they aren't fighting with every fiber of their being, the audience simply will not invest. Irony becomes a barrier, not an invitation to connect.
So when an actor plays the joke about the joke, or signals they're in on the absurdity,
they forfeit the immense power of personal truth. Irony might earn that fleeting smirk, as I said, but it almost never earns empathy. And without empathy, without that vital connection.
No transformation, no catharsis.
No lasting impact, exactly.
So what's the counter strategy for me as a director?
Instead of allowing actors to lean into sarcasm or detachment, demand that they lean into their character's desperation. Guide them to use the absurdity of the situation to highlight precisely how seriously their character is taking it. Let the ridiculous become the brutal battleground where life and death needs are laid bare.
Emphasize that the more ridiculous the world,
The more intensely the character must fight for what they need. The humor of the stylization only works if we believe in the absolute urgency, the raw, fundamental human need behind the character's actions. Instruct them to let their pain sit beneath the chaos like a quiet earthquake, driving every single choice.
So never let actors act above the material.
Never let them signal their awareness of the film's genre or conceit. Insist they immerse themselves completely within it. Embody the character's reality. If they are aware of the absurdity, instruct them to use it as an obstacle.
An obstacle.
Yes. Something that makes their pursuit of the objective even harder. Never as a shield to hide behind. Irony is not a weapon for the actor unless it belongs intrinsically to the character's worldview. A calculated tactic the character uses to mask their terror or shame. A deliberate choice by the character to manipulate or control.
But if it belongs to the actor?
It becomes an impenetrable wall between their truth, and the audience's vital connection. Layered performance, true complexity pulls people in. It creates something that lingers far longer than a one-note gag or a cheap wink to the camera.
So demand they make any irony part of the character's struggle.
Part of their frustration, a tactic to cope rather than their personal commentary on the material. They must commit with every fiber of their being, pushing past any personal embarrassment that might arise from the outlandish circumstances. If the situation is ludicrous, let it be. Their job is to make the emotional struggle underneath it real and raw. Their unwavering belief is what makes the unbelievable believable.
Okay, so the distilled truth on avoiding irony.
Live the stakes, drop the wink. Make the comedy tragic, make the fantasy sacred, make the horror personal, make the sci-fi human. That is how you obliterate irony and ignite profound truth. That is how you render the unbelievable unforgettable.
Powerful. Directors, let's really hammer this home because it's the cornerstone. Stylization never equates to superficiality.
Never. In fact, the more stylized the material, the greater the absolute necessity for emotional grounding. The more elaborate the costume, the more intense the inner life required.
So if I'm directing genre material, my primary job
It's your primary job, your most crucial responsibility, is to help your actors find their pain and root it deeply in an urgent, non-negotiable need. Because when the world on screen becomes surreal, when the rules of reality bend, it is the actor's unwavering commitment to truth that keeps the audience utterly invested.
They become our anchor.
Yes, our anchor in the storm of imagination.
And I must encourage personalization above parody.
Always. Never allow actors to imitate a genre trope, to simply play a fantasy hero or a comedic sidekick. Compel them to live through it. This demands that you, as the director, undertake the same rigorous deep dive into the 12-step Chubbuck technique.
Objective, obstacle, substitution, inner objects.
Moment before, history, relationship, tactics, beat changes, physicalizations, inner monologue, previous circumstances, all of it. The same deep work you would demand for the most intense drama. Constantly ask, what is their objective? Who are they truly fighting for? What emotional history fuels their desperation? How does this character's need manifest through their specific tactics in this specific world?
And I need to avoid the spectacle trap.
Absolutely. Directors must warn against that common trap where genre becomes a flimsy excuse for just clever staging, flashy visuals, or stylistic bravado, while the actor is left floating aimlessly on the surface, unconnected to any profound need.
That's not direction, it's decoration.
Exactly. Mere decoration, a superficial veneer. It is incredibly tempting, I know, to be seduced by the spectacle. Cool lighting, epic fight scenes, wild costumes. But none of that can ever replace the emotional engine of the story. If your actor is not deeply rooted in personal need, if their objective isn't visceral and driving them, the audience might be momentarily entertained, they might marvel at the visuals, but they will not be moved, they will not care. And without caring, there is no real impact.
So the directive is clear. Block for truth before effect.
Yes. Block for truth before you ever block for effect. Ask yourself relentlessly for every single scene. Where is the pain? Where is the want? Where is the war?
Build the inner life first.
Build the inner life first meticulously before you even begin to build the outer world. The actor's desperation, their urgent pursuit of their objective, should fundamentally shape how a moment is staged, how the camera moves, how the lighting falls. Never the other way around.
A beautiful shot of crying means nothing without the why.
Utterly meaningless, unless the audience knows precisely why they are crying and truly believes the monumental stakes behind it. Directing is not about controlling aesthetics for their own sake. It is about empowering purpose. You are not merely composing a picture, you are composing a profound psychological journey.
And understand this fundamental truth.
A perfectly placed camera angle, the most elaborate costume, the most dazzling visual effect will never save a hollow performance. Never. But an emotionally grounded actor, one truly committed to their character's objective and truth, they can transcend even the cheapest visual effect, can elevate even the most threadbare set. Why? Because truth cuts through budget. It cuts through genre. It lands every single time with profound, undeniable force.
Emotional investment is the key.
It is the sole force that makes comedy truly hilarious, horror genuinely terrifying, and fantasy truly transcendent. It transforms a simple joke into a cathartic scream of recognition, a monster into a potent metaphor for personal struggle, a magical wand into a deep psychological wound made manifest. Without that emotional truth, you are simply playing dress up with it.
You're creating transformation.
You are creating transformation, revelation, and profound catharsis for your audience. That, directors, is your true job, your highest calling.
The ultimate mandate, then.
The ultimate mandate as a director is singular. Empower the character's profound psychological journey, ensuring that truth fundamentally shapes every external choice, because truth always cuts through spectacle and lands.
So, to conclude this session, let's just reiterate that fundamental principle one last time. Genre amplifies truth.
It never, ever replaces it. We hope it's now abundantly clear that comedy, fantasy, horror, science fiction, all of them are powerful vehicles for fundamental human need, for universal emotional struggles.
And remember, directors, audiences don't just turn to genre for simple entertainment.
No, they turn to it, often subconsciously, for emotional survival. These genres provide powerful, often necessary, frameworks through which people can safely process their deepest fears, their disappointments, their most cherished hopes.
They give language to the unspeakable.
Exactly. Allowing pain to be confronted with a necessary distance. When performed with unwavering truth, these genres remind the audience that their pain is not absurd, it is shared. Their longing is not ridiculous, it is universal. What truly matters most is the fundamental human need to be seen, to matter, to win against both internal and external forces.
Genre frees the audience to feel more safely,
more profoundly, and more universally. It's a profound shared experience when done right.
Every story, every film you direct offers a kind of contract to the audience, doesn't it?
It does. A silent promise of catharsis, of emotional release, of a journey that resonates. And the delivery of that catharsis hinges entirely on how deeply the actor and, by extension, you, the director, commit to emotional truth.
The audience wants to be seen, moved, feel less alone.
Desperately. That is why they show up. That's the core transaction.
So my job is to honor that promise.
Yes, honor that promise, not by fixating on genre conventions or clever tricks, but by aligning your character's internal war with what the audience subconsciously needs to process or experience. A comedy that masks vulnerability with mere cleverness might entertain, but it will never transform.
A horror film without humanity won't haunt.
A fantasy without real emotional stakes may dazzle, but it will never inspire true belief or profound connection. By identifying what the audience yearns to experience, redemption, justice, escape, connection, you can craft characters whose needs perfectly align with those profound longings. You bridge the gap between the fictional world and the real one, making the extraordinary relatable.
That's the true magic of genre done truthfully.
It doesn't just fulfill the contract, it elevates it.
It transforms the unbelievable into the unforgettable.
Remember this always, directors. The fourth wall in places don't protect actors. They trap them inside the world where truth has no escape. It is in that relentless commitment, that unwavering belief that the mythological clothes, the prosthetics, the special effects, they reveal the raw, undeniable human story. This is the power you wield.